The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think he missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Brazil is the birthplace of the bossa nova. The phrase literally means new trend. And in the wake of Mick the Quick Claridge's season-long domination, a new trend sounds pretty good to his competition. The Lotus 49 World Cup Championship, presented by Tidal Influence, visits Interlagos for rounds 7 to 12 on the schedule that celebrates the 50th anniversary of an historic race car. And all the action can be seen live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Bom dia and welcome to GSRC's Countdown to Green. I'm Bill Soupson. With me in the booth is our Lotus 49 aficionado, Joe Peak. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Amjad Yaman, and Dougie Beard is the camera guru. If you brought cyberspace into your place, then over the next 10 Streamy Award-worthy minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to appreciate the 24 laps of simulated retro open-wheeled racing that will be streaming your way. This broadcast is made possible thanks to Tidal Influence, an ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California, that restores wetlands, saves and studies endangered species, and educates children about our environment. For more information, go to TidalInfluence.com. Now, technical issues forced Mick Claridge to miss qualifying last round at Suzuka, and the point leader had to start from the back of the 13-car field. Ove Trengray earned the pole, and the Norwegian did his best to distance himself from the pack that Claridge was quickly slicing through. The two finally met up under the white flag, but there was no surrender in Trengray, who did his best to fend off Claridge, but try as he might, Mick the Quick made the pass in turn 1, and Trengray had to settle for second. Joe, the series leaves the origami pretzel behind, comes to a track that winds and twists like a drunk snake, Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace.
Well, you definitely don't want to be drunk while trying to navigate this one, Bill. The more technical sections of this track are to me some of the trickiest to maximize in all of iRacing. It makes up only a small portion of this 2.6 mile circuit, but it can make or break these drivers' lap times. But what's most interesting about this place is, despite its 15 turns, it's actually very fast for the majority of the lap. That tends to make this place a little divisive among drivers in iRacing. Some love it and some hate it. Expect most passes to be set up heading towards the Senna S, but while most cars will enjoy it being flat out all the way from Junção to that first corner, you've actually got to drive this thing down to that super fast blast. And it could certainly catch a few of those competitors out. But to really give you an idea of the challenges of this place, let's look at the GSRC lap guide. Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Interlagos. Coming down the front stretch, the Senna S is going to provide a good passing opportunity, but drivers will find keeping the car stable at turn-in pretty tricky if they're pushing the limits, so some passes might go horribly wrong. After that, try to give yourself a nice wide entry to the Curva de Sol. You'll be feathering the throttle around this long, gentle sweeper, waiting until it's safe to get to the power. Try not to straddle the curb at the exit too much, and then you're flying down the Reta Oposta. At the end, the Descida del Lago will be another popular place for overtakes. The tricky thing is, with the way the track falls away, the car loves to understeer in the midst of this double apexer. Though 4 and 5 are counted as two separate corners, they make for one single arc. Switch sides quickly, and then you approach Ferradura. And the 49, this is a medium speed bend, once again with two apexes to contend with. Don't worry about hitting the second one because you'll want to swing the car wide at the exit. You can use up a lot of the curb both on the entry to 8 and at its apex. This starts us into the slowest, most technical portion of the circuit. You'll immediately switch back through 9 where drivers might sometimes short shift to keep better traction on the little spurt down to the duckspill. This is definitely the slowest corner on the whole track, but it probably won't see a lot of overtakes in this car. Once again, there's very little time to switch sides, and you really need every inch of track to carry your speed through Magrulo. Let the car drift off to the curbing on the right, and then whoa it up for Junção. This is easily the most critical corner to nail your exit on. Find the grip with your right foot, but stay close to the edge of the track. With nearly no downforce, turn 14 becomes a big lift, whereas in almost every modern car, it's flat out. As soon as you're confident, floor it and then straighten out the final bend onto the front stretch. Hopefully you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Interlagos.
A great track, another great job by my partner Joe Peak explaining just what these drivers have in store in front of them this late afternoon. Now let me explain what these drivers have been in for all season long as we look at the point standings. He's one from the front, he's one from the back, he earns points for the Union Jack. I tell the same tale time after time. To keep this segment fresh, I've resorted to rhyme, and of course I'm talking about Mick the Quick Claridge is our point leader. Best of the rest is Norway's over Trengere, 28 back of the lead with 4 podiums. Australia sits 3rd and 4th. Joshua Anderson is the only driver to best Claridge this season doing that at Bathurst, and Benjamin Soko's 3rd at Suzuka moves him up 4 spots. Brett Ryle for the USA rounds out the overlay. But the Drivers' Championship is only half the story. There is also the Constructors' Cup, and it works this way. For each race, the nation's highest-scoring drivers earn points for his home country. After 6 races, Claridge's success keeps the UK well out in front. Australia has had 3 drivers contribute, Joshua Anderson, David French, and Benjamin Zoko. Trengere's 2nd at Suzuka breaks Norway out of 3rd with the US in that tie, and Borja Vieira Casal has Spain in 5th. Joe, we talked about the track, looked at the driver's standings and the Constructors' Cup. How about we take a second to go over the series and race details?
Definitely. And afterwards, Bill, I want to ask when your rap album is coming out, because I want to get a hold of that. Yeah. So today we're running round 7 of 12, and there are no drop races. So you got to keep showing up consistently if you want to hope in this series to be competitive in the points. We are in the Lotus 49, as we've said, with its 50th anniversary. It is open setup. Which means we are not looking at any stops for fuel in this car, just like they did back in '67. They're going to go the whole race distance. If you come into the pits, your race is ruined, basically. 24 laps out there today, so relatively short race compared to what this car experienced in real life, but still drivers will be spreading out across this about roughly half-hour race. That was what we're going to see. Local cautions only, so there are going to be no full course cautions to bring the field back together. There is an incident cap, 17 incidents, and if drivers have an off, run into each other, spin, run into the wall, they rack up incident points. If you hit 17, you're removed from the track instantly. You disappear. Now, there are no fast repairs, so drivers have to keep their cars in check and keep them whole out there, because otherwise they're going to have to be sitting for repairs for quite a while in the pit lane. And there are 1967 points rules out here. Points down to 6th place, 1 point for 6th place, and 9 points for a win. Drivers will obviously need to be finishing a little bit farther up the order with 18 cars out there today, Bill. And in the weather, let's take a look here. It looks like 82 degrees outside and 89-degree track temperature. This is actually pretty good conditions for Interlagos. This track tends to get pretty hot most of the time, so I think these drivers are going to be very happy to have it nice and grippy.
And Joe, we've talked about Mick the Quick Claridge's domination all season long, but now we have a driver from France making things a little interesting today down south.
Yeah, Michel Dudognon, and my apologies if I got that name wrong, Michel. We'll work on that one. My French isn't great. He's been known to be one of the few that can challenge Mick up at the front. Ove, obviously, we know he can, but Mick's had the measure of Ove so far most of this season, and I'm curious to see what Michel can do. Right now, he's top of the qualifying sheet, so I think we're up for a good race here.
And then we got a little bit of news. These drivers have thought they've been racing for pride and bragging rights all season long, but we got some prize money information.
Yeah, it turns out they've been able to raise enough funds that the driver who finished first in points will get $50. So that is not going to be a small amount to scoff at. That'll be a nice little tuck in the pocket. A nice night out maybe for you and your wife, Bill, if you were winning this championship. Second place is going to get $30, still a pretty good amount. Third place gets $20. And then they also have 2 additional awards, Bill. Cleanest driver and then the most improved. However, they've clarified that those last 2, they get $20, but they have to show up for at least 4 races.
Yeah, that's fair. It seems to be pretty easy to be clean if you only show up once, so they're going to make them earn their cleanliness award there. Just a few minutes left. We got 18 drivers here today. This is a pickup from what we had, only 13 last time, so it's good to see a big field. All the familiar names are here. Bruce Nelson, another new name that we've covered before in other series. Nice to see him. I don't think he's been in this series yet.
He used to be a regular, actually. I've raced against Bruce quite a bit in this car.
Sitting 5th right now in qualifying. We're going to bring up those for you in just a minute. as they're just wrapping that up right now. Okay, let's go ahead and give you what we have here for our starting order. It is the Frenchman, Michel Dudion, up in front. Mick Claridge right outside of him. Over at Trengray and Michael Morrison make up row 2. Bruce Nelson and Brett Reale sit 5th and 6th. 7th and 8th is Christian Starkhoff and Jack Olstad. And then row number 5, Billy Bob Wright and Dave Price.
Benjamin Zilko in 11th with Christopher Winton in 12th. Don Good starts in 13th, followed by Hideki Koivisto in 14th. Daniel Weishank starts in the 15th position. He's followed by Andrew Eng in 16th, Jeroen Ursum in 17th, and Robert Reynolds didn't get a lap time in. He's going to round out our field.
You can see that the shadows are long and thin here. It's a late afternoon race in Brazil. They are lining up right now on the front straight. They're going to head down to that first left-hander that sets up the Senna S's. Waiting for the third place driver to come in there. He is. Ulrich gets his spot. Some big names up in front. But right now it is the Frenchman, Michel Dudion, up in front, who is going to be heading first. He's going to have to start from the outside. He should be able to tuck on the inside of Clarence. Let's see what kind of start they get. You can hear the engine start to rev. There's the smoke. Gather up the chickens. Take cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn, and leading the stampede down into the first left-hander is the Frenchman, Michel Dudion.
Good start by everybody. It's looking pretty clean so far. It can sometimes get messy in that first S, but everybody gave each other plenty of room, Bill.
Claridge and Tengarade fill up the top 3 spots. Look at this battle going on for 4th now. This is Snelson trying to look inside of Morrison. Dives it in deep.
Looks like couldn't quite get it in there. Oh, but he gets a great run coming off the corner. At his momentum, he can't use it, Bill, just because of that double apex.
Up front, it is Claridge keeping an eye on the Frenchman. But the real battle back there for 4th, and now that's settled down. Watching the whole thing from 6th position, Brett Reale.
Oh, we got a spinner, almost a spinner, starts to go around trying to figure out who that is. It's Christian Starkhoff. Oh, no. He's had a couple really bad races lately, Bill, and he's been bemoaning that on the forums afterwards. He's really unhappy with how his driving has been.
There you can see Starkhoff right there. Yes, certainly at Suzuka was really tough on him.
And at Phillip Island, if you remember, he was pretty embarrassed for himself. So I'm sure this is not the way he wants to start, sending him all the way back to 18th here at the first lap. He's going to get one position because there goes Robert Reynolds off the track at Junchao, which we didn't quite catch on screen. We're following the leaders right now. There he is.
And while all that's going on, the first lap is in the books. Dudion out in front. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, this is pretty much what I expected from Michel. He and Mick have been known as two of the big heavy hitters in this series, and I'm really glad to see Michel come back and be able to make this time slot. I know some of the drivers have said this is a little bit tricky for them, but 18 is a pretty healthy field.
Not leaving him behind as we ride on board with the Frenchman right now, looking back at Mick the Quick, who's able to keep pace. Starting to fall a little bit off, 0.7 of a second back is the Norwegian Ulrich Tringerade. Michael Morrison doing a good job hanging on in 4th.
Nove had a really good race yesterday in the Camel GT series, jumping over to a car with a lot more downforce. But right now he's jumping back into this 49 and holding on pretty well. He's not dropping off of these guys. So the real test is going to be over much more of the race length. As we've seen, Bill, this car tends to breed mistakes, and you really can tell who's most consistent and who's got the pace over 12 laps and not just 3.
Let's go ahead and look at 7th position real quick. This is a ninth battle, kind of in the mix here. This is Billy Bob Wright being challenged by Jack Ulstad. Now, Wright's not that far behind Reale, hanging in 6th position. Ulstad with a pretty good run as they work around, coming down through bleachers.
Unfortunately, not really going to get enough of a draft coming down the straight. It's pretty long, but it's because you've got to get a big lift coming through that second to last corner that it's hard to close up on people. You can see him really gain most of his time under braking there for the Senna S.
We're right on board with Jack right now, looking ahead. Nothing going on up front as everybody's this holding station right now.
Got a decent run coming out of Curva de Sol. He just can't quite seem to get the exits right, and boy, he was way off the exit coming through the Descida del Lago, Bill.
Now
they're not too far behind Brett Rial either. Oh, no. Sticks his nose in.
Yeah, right through Little Orange there as Olstad trying to find a way. Look at the line he takes there, trying to get a really wide line, trying to find any way around Billy Bob.
That's really the best way to take that run down into 8 because you don't get it off track, so you can go way out onto those curbs.
Best battle on the track right now as everybody else just seems to be pacing themselves. It is close up front.
Yeah, I'm looking at that, and I'm seeing only 3/10 between them. Whoa, and Rial is off. Coming through Zhongzhou. That's going to cost him 2 positions, Bill. That is just such a critical corner. And it's really easy because the track kind of drops away on the outside of the corner. So you have to kind of play chicken with where it starts to drop off with that curve there. You can see, he didn't even play chicken with it. He was off the cliff.
Let's go back up front now because now Claridge has had enough racing in the runner-up spot. He's doing everything he can to get around Duguillon.
He's hunting them down, just kind of peeking right now as we look over his shoulder down into the Descida del Lago. Not close enough to make a dive here, Bill, but he's doing everything right, just starting to put the pressure on. I don't think he's going to find a lot of cracks in Michel, though. He's not known for making many mistakes.
This is good news, though, for Trengarade back there. He needs those guys to start to fight a little bit, slow each other down, and could get in the mix.
Trengarade's dropped about 2/10 since we last looked at him. It's about 8/10 now up to Mick Claridge. And actually, worth mentioning, they're not dropping Michael Morrison either.
No.
He's only about a second back from Ove.
So far now, we've been covering this for 7 rounds. I would say this is the best battle we've seen racing so far. This is some nice racing up front.
I was going to say, Mick is really lathering it on, just not letting up on Michel, and this is going to be his best chance here. He might get a whiff of the slipstream. He might be close enough, actually.
So as they come around, they're not going to fool me this time thinking that they're going to pit because I know that's not going to happen. Look at the run he gets coming into 1.
Just not close enough. It's going to be very, very tough to try. You have to be so close into the braking of that first quarter, Bill, just because of the way you kind of swing in from the wide side. It's hard to make the apex if you come in too shallow. And so, especially if you're braking a little bit early just to try and hit it, trying to outbrake your opponent into that turn is extremely tough. Whoa, and look at the slide coming from Michel. This is the invitation that he needs. He's going to get it.
They are side by side as they come into the horseshoe now. Will the outside line have more momentum, or will the inside preferred racing line be the preferred place to be? They continue the battle, Joe.
Oh, this is slowing them up a ton, and Michel somehow rebuffs him. I don't know how he managed that.
Wow.
He must have really used his speed on the outside of 4 and 5 to stick with Mick. And now Ove is all over these guys, and they've even got Morrison in there too. So it's a 4-car battle for the lead here, Bill.
France, the UK, Norway, and the USA running 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sounds like the start of a joke. They all walk into a bar, Bill. Oh boy, here we go. All 4 of them close together coming up the main straight. I don't think any of them are really going to be able to attack here. Mick just didn't get a good enough run off that last corner, but he knows that he's got something on Michel. He's been able to squeak something out of him. He takes a look. He's threatening now. He knows he can get in his head.
They are really good. The 2 leaders are really good out of those final corners to set up down the straight.
Wow, Michel did terrible coming into the Curva del Sol, and you can see how much that let Mick close up on him. I think he's going to peek to the inside. Here we go. Wow, very defensive from Michel, though.
That battle continues. I can report that Ulstad has spun while we're watching this. We'll stay on the lead battle.
And amazingly, despite Mick going for the outside, Ove wasn't able to stick it in there. You can see, look, just how defensive Michel is going. And once again, Mick somehow doesn't lose out to Ove. If he keeps going for the outside like that, Bill, at some point, Ove is going to slam it in there.
4 cars, all nose to tail. Just to follow up, I'll just do it verbally. Olstaff was making a move on Billy Bob Wright. The car got loosed. He nosed it into the wall. I think Jack's day is done.
Oh, sad to see for Jack. He was looking like a good qualifying. Definitely hurt his day. At least it's good to see him going. But the front of that thing is not looking too healthy. Still, back onto the front stretch with our 4 leaders. They're all still nose to tail here.
Yeah, maybe the best thing for Trengarade and Morrison is for Dudegaron to stay out in front right now. I wonder if Claridge is going to be faster. He wasn't in qualifying. As long as they continue to battle, though, it keeps this a 4-car race.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how long we're going to be seeing Ove and Michael just sitting back there. If we keep getting a battle like that, eventually one of them's got to think, I got to take advantage of this so I can try and get what I can. Because from what we've seen of them, they don't really have the pace to really get by them and streak away, but they can really maximize what's there and maybe fend them off once they get around. And once again, Michelle just is not enjoying that turn 4.
They come in. Now, it looks like the leaders are taking a pretty normal racing line, not really defending that much, though, right? Just trying to stay out in front by pace only.
A little bit. I saw Mick go defensive down into 8 there. This time around, they're a lot less defensive than we've seen previously. Another big lock up there. Coming from Michelle.
Here he comes.
This is the most ragged I think I've seen Michelle in a long time. I wonder if he hasn't been in the car for a while.
I thought he opened the door there for Mick, but Mick wasn't able to step through. Now you can see on those long camera shots from Dougie Beard, the 5th car back there you catch every once in a while, that's Bruce Snelson. He's about 2.2 seconds back. And to be honest, Joe, he's knocked off about 0.4 of a second. If they continue to fight up front, he may join the party as well.
Well, here you go. Defensive line once again from Michelle. So he's still trying to hold these guys off. He doesn't feel like he can hold the pace. Oh, and horrible exit from Mick now. At least I thought it was. He gets on the power very well coming out of Curva de Sol, though. Here he goes.
Oh, look at him dive down in there. Can he do it under braking?
I think he's trying to get him out of the corner. Look, he's backing it up. He's trying to get the launch off of here, stick his nose in, but every time, that second apex just blocks his momentum. That's got to be frustrating.
Now they head towards the sweeping right-hander. And then this really tight corner number 8.
I honestly never liked this infield section in just about any car, Bill. It doesn't seem a lot of fun, but sometimes the challenge is what makes these tracks so good, and really this is the most challenging part of this circuit.
Let's apologize to the friends and families of all the other drivers that are in this field. We'll try to get to them in a minute, but right now, this battle up at the front, we can't leave it.
I was going to say, when there's a battle for the lead, you can't look away for battles in the mid-pack, because this is what counts overall. And they're starting to stretch out now. I think we're seeing each of these drivers really kind of figure out that last turn and understand where the grip is and how to get the foot down.
The gap from 4th to 5th remains 2.2 seconds. Trengaray really loose.
Whew, he was pushing it. You do have to rotate the rear on the entry to that one to really get the most out of that first corner, but you don't want to rotate it that much.
Yeah, that was some serious rotation there. He drops a little bit back now, but I think the battle up front should allow him to catch back up.
Did something happen to Price? Oh, he's dropping down the order quick. Let's take a look at him. This was coming into turn 1. Yeah, here, looking at the replay, it looks like under braking, something must have happened. Did he start to lose it? Yes, he did. Oh, no. It oversteered. Like I said, the car kind of starts to rotate, and it rotated too soon. He just nosed it into that inside wall.
We're looking at P10 as Ulf said. After the battle he was having with Billy Bob Wright, he remains out there as he's worked his way back up to 10th position.
In fact, he's not the only one. Christian Starkov's the one in front of him. Remember, he went down to last place with his first lap spin. Well, he's up to 9th.
The Talent pool pretty deep here today, Joe, with Snelson in there as well as our newcomer from France. Drivers like Real and Soko not in the points right now.
Yeah, Billy Bob, though, having a very good race up in 6 at this point, so he could snag himself a single point. On screen, though, for a little bit, we were watching the battle between Zoko and Real, and I think that one's starting to heat up once again.
Better go up front, though, a minute. I got my eye on this one. I think something's going to happen here now. Claridge has ran down Dungaron one more time.
Still all 4 line astern. And these top guys are within a second and a half. You usually don't see gaps like this in these races, Bill, at least between this many cars. They tend to spread out, like you can see with the rest of the field. This is honestly a car, Bill, where even if you have a boring race, you don't have a boring race because you're always wrestling with the car.
Now they come up on Robert Reynolds, who gives them a clearance. He stays very wide. The only guys go, whoa! Morrison able to get a woat up just in time.
I think with 4 cars in front of him, Morrison was not expecting there to be a car right at the exit there. That's going to separate him significantly. Look at how much he's dropped off.
Yeah, well, the first 3 made it through, and Morrison got there right at corner exit, so he wasn't able to track all the way out, and that's going to cost him some time.
It amazes me how smooth. Ooh, bit of a wobble, though, coming off of that second-to-last corner from Big Claridge. Commentators curse there, but I was going to say how smooth they are through that second-to-last turn. That giant bend is so scary in these cars.
Now in through the S's, a little bit of wobble from Dungaram.
Coming through Curva del Sol, once again, Mick just can't quite find it when he needs it. It seems like, much to his frustration, Michelle just always makes mistakes where Mick can't capitalize.
Duderon in there nicely now. Claridge waiting. You said it, Joe. He's waiting for a mistake. Look at the run he has now, but I don't think there's going to be. He's going to have to try it again on the top side. Maybe a little bit of an over-under, and that's going to bring Trengrade into the mix.
Trengrade's still holding that inside here down into 8. I figured that he was going to do that. He's not going to let him have any of the insides of these corners, which is really about the, except for the Senna S, that's the only way you're going to get by. The Senna S, if you can hold around the outside of that first apex, when it switches back, you can manage to finish the pass.
Claridge racing with one eye forward and one eye back at the Norwegian, who is ready to sneak in there and take his shot. If give me the opportunity, Mick, maybe I can get her on Duderon.
And Bill, we still have 14 laps to go. I kind of wonder, if they keep fighting this hard, is something going to go wrong with these top guys and give us a surprise win with someone farther back?
Morrison running in fourth. Again, all by himself is Bruce Snelson. And that gap is stretched out a little bit, 2.7 to Morrison.
Poor Morrison. I think the draft down the front stretch was helping him just enough to hold on because he was close enough. But now that he's lost it, he's gonna start to fall away.
A huge distance from Snelson. It's about 14 seconds back to Billy Bob Wright, running in the final points-paying position.
Billy Rob just all by his lonesome. He's got 6 seconds back to Zoko and 15 seconds up to Snelson. Of course, I'm sure he won't mind that as long as he can just focus on driving the car out there.
Yeah, we're looking at Robert Reynolds running in 17th.
Just had a lap put on him by Billy Bob. We still got 16 cars on the lead lap. Jeroen Ursum currently the last one. The leader's a little far back now, so he might be able to finish on the lead lap here.
Jeroen in his familiar pink colors races that for his little girl.
Fortunately for him, he's got the number 13 this time, though.
No change up front. They continue to race in that order. The only thing that has happened is Morrison has fallen off.
Let's give a little love to the mid-pack, because this battle between Real and Zoko is still going on. And in fact, I think Zoko overtook Real recently, didn't we?
Real up into 8th spot. Zoko running in 7th. The guy who's coming back there is in ninth. I think he's faster than both of them. That's Starkov, the Austrian driver.
That's really going to make things interesting. Saw a little bit of a dive from Mick once again, but didn't make a serious attempt.
Now here he comes again into this. I call it the horseshoe because my Portuguese is not as good as Joe's.
Fair to do it.
Thank you, Joe.
I would think that's the easy one, Bill.
So through this twisty section, they go through 9, which is Small Pine, it's called in English, and then through Duckbill, which is 10. Just kind of have to wait for a mistake here, don't you, Joe? Not really a way to get around in there, huh?
Well, he's seen plenty of mistakes, but he just hasn't been able to get by. Michel has been incredibly smart about this. He knows when he screws up, and he doesn't make any pretense about it by trying to take the normal racing line. He just immediately goes defensive, and that's been keeping Mick at bay. So Michel's almost kind of pulling a Alain Prost here of just driving this thing as fast as he needs to go to get to the end in first.
Is it all flat out from 12 from junction there once they get going down through all these things?
No. Second to last corner, there's a big lift, and we've seen a few times cars get all kinds of out of sorts through there. It's very easy to lose it, or if you get greedy on the gas, you can understeer off into the grass, and there's not a lot of room on that outside, Bill. If you hit the grass and you got enough momentum heading towards the outside, you can just embarrassingly slam into that outside wall.
How about that great camera shot there? That really gets you an idea what's going on as you see Claridge again, just peeking in there, nowhere to go. We ride with this helicopter drone cam here.
Mick is just not letting up. He's been, I'd say, within half a second of him for nearly this entire race so far.
Now they get back into this twisty section. They go right, they go left, they go right.
Not much in the way of opportunities. Sometimes people try to sneak stuff into the ducks, Bill, but in this car, I just don't think they've got enough time to accelerate, really, to try and outbrake someone into that hairpin. Oh, looks like Starkov's gotten Rialdo.
Yeah, he moves up into 8th position now, and then he's got Soko next. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. Two good battles going on right now. In fact, I think we can stay there as the lead battle is not real close right now.
Yeah, I think if Christian can just get the run... Oh, he's looking on the... Well, he's not taking my advice. He's looking for a pass there into the ducks, Bill, but not able to capitalize. I was going to say, if he's smart, he's going to back up his entry here into Junzhou and then get the grip coming off of here. Let's see if he manages to get on the power. Well, he starts to squirm. That's going to hurt him. If he can maybe take this corner a little bit faster through here, this can give him an opportunity. And no, you can see he's already dropping back. That's why he got to be just right on the throttle coming out of junction.
And then they head down the straight. Everything holds. Look at this. He's peeking in there. Not going to happen there. Everybody holding station up front.
This might be a better spot for him. He's really tucking it. Ugh. Getting really greedy on that inside curb. Usually you can, but I think it bit him there. He's just trying to get in the head of Benjamin right now. He was nowhere near trying to pass him, but he was pulling to the side anyways. There's definitely a few corners I'm watching that Starkov is much better under brakes than Benjamin.
I think Starkov and Claridge could go out for a drink and they could have a lot in common trying to find ways around these guys.
Oh, wow. See, right there. Great example. You saw how much he closed up in the braking for 8, but just had nowhere to put it. Oh, he's going to see another one here. He really fancies this, and Zoko was wise this time. He held the inside.
Boy, he's trying to... If you can't find a line, he's trying to make a line.
Ooh, this is going to be his best opportunity. Zoko really should not have gone defensive into there because that's going to hurt his exit. And here you can see he's right on top of him, less than a car length. If he can just... Oh, did he lose traction there? He just suddenly fell way back of Benjamin.
Oh, I think now he's in jeopardy of losing the spot back to Rial.
Wow, that was... He must have got loose coming up there or something, which can happen. You got a big crest coming up to that corner, and I guess if the car isn't straight, it'll get squirrely on you. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh, he's trying everything now. See if he tries to outbrake him. Benjamin going defensive down into turn 4 once again, Bill.
Yeah, he can defend. Now watch for the dipsy-do here. See if he can get a run underneath him.
That just doesn't... It didn't work for Mick, and I don't think it's going to work for Christian. It's seems like it's going to, but... Ooh, and misses the first apex there. Ferradura quite a bit.
And we'll leave this one. We'll come back and check on Christian here and see if he can get that done. We'll check in on... Let's stay... There we go. There we go. We're fine. We're leaving now. Nothing going on. We really need another set of eyeballs here. Let's go back up now. Dudignon has distanced himself a little bit, and look at this. Claridge is now under attack from the Norwegian Trengrade.
Remember what I was saying a couple broadcasts ago? You can wear out the tires. Now, I expect Michel's to wear out sooner because he's been sliding all over the place. But maybe Mick has also been abusing his, and that might be what's causing him to fall back into Ove.
And what we've heard on post-race interviews is not only that the tires will go away from you for a little while, then they might come back to you. But boy, both those leaders have been
let's
really
go to
working
Christian.
hard.
Christian's got it around the outside, illustrating exactly what I was talking about, and some wheel spin helps him through, makes it around the outside of one. Beautiful move from Christian.
There it is. We're going to look at it one more time, Joe. We'll get a better view of it this time.
He set this up perfectly. He had the momentum, and then because he was on the inside, like I said, Benjamin has to brake much sooner, and that allowed him, that number 7 of Christian, to really just carry the speed, and that little bobble from Zoko was just, it sealed the deal.
So that moves Starkov up into 7th spot. It's a tall order to get to Billy Bob Wright. He's got about 8.5 seconds running in the points paying position.
Oh, he might lose this spot, actually. Benjamin's on the attack already.
Look at Soko fighting back.
That's that Australian grit. Oh, wow. Christian taking a very inside line. I'm surprised he held that car together and didn't lose the spot. Now he's starting to streak away. This is one of those places where he's much faster. He's got to make good on those areas where he kept gaining ground under braking before.
Up front, the leaders had to put a lap on Andrew Eng, and what that did is allow them to separate a little bit, and now Dudignon has opened up a 1.8 second lead on Claridge.
You know what? I think Michel was just shaking off the rust there up front. Now that he's found his legs, he's looking like he's good.
Let's stay on here a minute. They got Robert Reynolds to work on again. Reynolds has already let them around once. This time it's going to be a little easier for Bob as they're not 1, 2, 3 in order.
Just lets Michel through. He's going to try and let these other two guys through here. This is tricky. Oh, and this is going to block Ove big time, having to go around the outside of Mugulo. You really, that corner is so on the edge because you're feathering the throttle through there, Bill, and having to take an offline just hurts you immensely. Oh, poor Christian Starkov. He lost the position to Zoko already.
Great battle for 7. Zoko now out in front of Starkov. Real watching the whole thing.
That was facilitated by a mistake coming out of turns 4 and 5, and Zoko grabbed it with both hands. To his credit, he's been doing great out there.
Zoko from Australia, Starkov from Austria.
Hey, you got it this time.
I did. And not only that, it's Australia and Austria together. That alone gives me enough trouble. And then Ryle from the USA.
Oh, he's close again. Is he going to pull the same move? He's going defensive. Are we going to see it all over again? Zoko didn't learn last time. He keeps the car steady this time, but once again, Christian says, I did it once, I'll do it again. And he doesn't get the run quite down into Curva de Sol, but he gets the run off of it, and that's the important thing. Oh, wow.
Look at this.
Very aggressive. Way to the inside, all the way to the white line.
But Coming back now, a little dipsy-doo, a little huckabuck, a little up and under. Here comes Starkov, and he gets it back.
Nicely done by Christian. When Benjamin went way down all the way to the inside, the problem is that you can't carry any speed whatsoever, and that's the point where Christian did the right thing, just hung to the outside and swung under him like you saw.
Those guys putting on the show that the front three could not, and they have run in order the whole time.
Well, there was some side-by-side action
That's
between
true.
Mick and Michelle, so they gave us some good action up there for a while.
I think, let's go back maybe to our second place. We're looking at it right now. I think Tringerade needs a tip of the hat here. He has been able to run right with Claridge this whole race.
He has been helped out, I think, a little bit by the battle that was happening earlier, but now that the tires have started to wear, I don't know if we could see that through the car of Mick, but looking back at Ove, there was a lurid slide down through 6 and 7. Oh, and something happened to Brett Rial. Oh, no.
Going
It's
into
another-
one, huh?
And it's exactly what we saw before. The rear rotated too soon. The car went to the inside. You're going to see it on the replay here, Bill. Oh, that's a shame after he was running so well. It's really tough because you're downshifting, you're braking, you're turning. It's like everything is working against the car to keep it steady, and that's why it tends to like to break loose. And we saw almost a cookie cutter incident of what we saw before.
Yep.
Well, that's
And now-
slotting him down the order pretty steadily.
Now things have settled down a little bit. Let's go ahead and check in on the 4th and 5th place drivers. Michael Morrison. After he fell off those guys, he's working around the lap car of Don Good. Good Juz, a good job of letting him by. Let's
Not
give
giving,
Go.
I was going to say, not giving Bruce Nelson a lot of love so far, but
Nope.
man, 5th place right now, and looking handy for it.
Then I don't think we've had much camera time for Christopher Winton in 11th position. Or I guess 10th right now, running in 10th, as he picks up the spot on Reale, who's had issues. Then in 11th position, Hideki Kovisto. How'd I do, Joe?
Koivisto?
Kovisto.
That's my guess anyways. He hasn't told us otherwise. So.
And I believe he is from, we know that he's from Finland, right? Am I correct on that one?
That's where he's based. That's where his club is. So,
Racing in 11th.
how about Weishank too? Currently holding down 12th. He's letting some cars through. That's Dave Price getting a lap back there. Oh, I was fooled there for a second. I thought Weishank was going to the pits.
Yeah, I think he's just going to try to let these 3 leaders get by before they get down into 1. Last car on the lead lap, well, he was until he let those guys by. Oh, no, he's stopping. I guess that's one way to let him by. Just
Did something happen to Daniel? Did he hit something?
No, I was just stop and park, I guess, and now he's back out there. Maybe he wants to race
Very
with Don
unusual.
Good, yeah.
I guess so. Well, I mean, if he doesn't care about the iRacing points, there's no points to be won in the championship, so Daniel just wants a good time, I guess.
3 laps to go.
Ove's still within half a second of Mick, too. He's not letting off of him.
You can see there Claridge, and just behind, you'll see in the 10th, that's Dave Price that they got around. He's not in the mix. He's 6 laps down.
So after Starkov, being out of it on the first lap, going all the way to the back, he's managed to climb up to 7th. The bad news for him is that's where he started the race. So nothing gained, nothing lost, but I'm sure he might be thinking to himself, where could I have been if I hadn't have made that mistake?
Well, that's a conversation he's had with himself more than once this season.
Yeah, that's very true.
Our best battle on the track right now as we look at Starkov. I think it's second place. I think it's
I agree,
the
yeah.
quick Claridge trying to hold off Ove Trengerade.
They've only got 2 more laps for it, though, so if Ove's going to do something, he's got to get right up on him and start attacking now. Nothing doing down into turn 4 and into the Descida del Lago. These guys are just about dead even, which we've seen for most of the season, admittedly, Bill.
Yeah. It is only the second time this season that Claridge has been bested. Dave Anderson, the Australian, did it at, well, basically his backyard at Bathurst.
Boy, you always have these neighborhood terms for the Australians. Backyards, everybody's a neighbor in Australia.
It's a small country in Australia.
I'm sure they'd beg to differ, but... Yeah, I don't think Ove has anything unless we see a mistake from Mick, and a significant one. Ove's going to have to settle for the last spot on the podium.
What this will be, though, is another podium. That's something Trengerade has been wrapping up, chalking up one after the other. I think it'll be his 5th this season. As our leader comes across and gets the white flag.
Well, the bad news for Ove is that, even though he's racking up podiums, none of them have been first so far. So he's just continuing to fall back from Mick in the championship, and this is not going to help that. I think he's something like 2 wins away. He has to, essentially, I think, for the championship, hope for Mick to have a couple DNFs.
Well, let's look at that. Say he's getting there now. He's only a car length back. Might have been saving everything for here. He's going to have... Oh no! Save it. He's off in the grass. That's Trengerade. He saves it. He does not pick up the wall.
But here comes
Morrison. And here comes... Well, that's Price. Price tries to get out of the way.
And Snelson, did he get by?
No, Snelson did not. He got around Price, so Snelson probably, as Trengerade has it, back up to speed. Well, we talked about the podium. There it goes.
Commentator's curse on that one?
I think if you look it up in the dictionary, that's what you'll see.
Well, final corner for our leader.
He works through 12. Now he just has these left-hand sweepers to work on. Give round number 7 of the Lotus 49 World Championship Cup, sponsored by Tidal Influence, to the Frenchman, Michel Dugignan. Second place, Mick the Quick Claridge. And a podium for the U.S. driver, Michael Morrison.
Oh, he's got to be pumping his fist. That is a great result. He stayed patient, he stayed consistent, and it paid off.
Trengerade and Snelson go 4th and 5th.
All right, let's see what happened on that
Ove,
spin. Yeah. I think I know what happened there, and I can kind of understand. He was trying his best. He was really pushing, like you said, he really closed. Coming through 5, you do have to lift, and he may have caught a little bit of the grass on the inside, on this left-hand side. You won't quite be able to see it with his camera being on the right side of the car, but you'll see if he goes over the... Yeah, see, he took a little bit of grass, and I think that upset the car, and with the car being so minimal through 5, that's what caused him to spin. He's lucky he didn't swap ends and headed into the wall on the left side.
We're going to look at it one more time from a different angle. On that angle, though, you could see the... Oh, we're not. Okay. You could see the... you could see him working the wheel, though, trying to correct that car.
You gotta wheel these cars. You will be working it back and forth throughout the race, unless you're smoother, unless you're some sort of robot. If you're a human being, you're going to be making corrections.
Okay, what we're going to do now on the Global Sim Racing channel is take a short break, but don't go far. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, do some driver interviews, and close up shop. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Lotus 49 World Cup Championships presented by Tidal Influence and brought to you by the Global Sim Racing Channel. Let's go ahead and run down your finishing order here for round number 7. It is Michel Dugion. The Frenchman comes in and beats Mick the Quick Claridge by 4 seconds. Michael Morrison able to capitalize on a mistake by Ove Trengerade. Morrison gets 3rd. Ove will miss the podium in 4th. Bruce Nelson, a nice run for a 5th top 5. Billy Bob Wright, the final points playing position in 6th. Christian Starkov, he missed the points, but he put on quite a show, finishing in 7th. Benjamin Soko, Jack Ulstadt go 8th and 9th. Rounding out your top 10, Joe, is Christopher Winton.
11th is Hideki Koivisto with Daniel Weishank. In 12th, Don Good came home in 13th, followed by Andrew Ang. Jeroen Ursum was behind him in 15th, and 16th was Robert Reynolds. Brett Rial sadly DNF'd, and Dave Price followed him as well in 18th position. That rounds out our field, Bill.
Okay, I've got a hold of our race winner, Mick Claridge. I'm sorry, I can't force a habit. Got a hold of our runner-up position here, Mick the Quick Claridge. Mick, try as you might, you just couldn't get around the Frenchman.
No, we've been racing like that for 4 years, mate. It's just another race with Michel.
If you thought you had a spot, you were side by side with him a couple times. Where do you think your best chance to get it done was?
The best chance was into turn 1 because I was faster through the kink. I've got a lower power ramp on the car than him, and so I was getting a good drive off the kink there. But no, he was too fast in the slow corners, so I just couldn't get close enough in the last turn. But yeah, no, sometimes he, you probably saw that sometimes on brakes he sometimes goes wide a little bit, and he's done that for 4 years, So I know that's when I have to push when he does things like that. So yeah, it makes for great racing, But yeah, like I say, we've been at it for a long time now, me and Michel.
Joe and I were wondering, near the end of the race, he started to pull away from you. Were the tires feeling good? And then you had Ove right behind you there at the very end.
No, I hit the wall in the kink. I was trying to keep up. Yeah, I was trying to keep up with Michel there, and I just lost the rear in the on the start on the way into the kink, and I just kept my foot down because I just didn't want to lose the gap, and sort of went one way, then the other, and hit the inside wall. So I don't know if it damaged the car. I don't think it did, but it did feel a bit weird. And I thought it did. That's what happened in my mind. So that sort of slowed me down for a couple of laps, just trying to work out if it was damaged or not. But yeah, Uwe was quick at the end there. Shame he spun at the end.
We'll get you away on this one. We go to Watkins Glen next. How do you feel about that place?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I love it there. I'm not sure what layout it is, but lap times are always really close at that place. So you'll see a good fight up front in that race.
All right. Well, congratulations on the podium, and you're going to remain in the front of the points lead. Nice job. Mick the Quick Claridge, our second place finisher today. Joe, who you got?
Well, we've got our last points finisher, Billy Bob. He's going to come and talk to us about his what looked like a relatively quiet run into the points there. He was trying to chase down Bruce Nelson, but didn't seem to have anything for the Northwest driver. So, Billy Bob, what was it like from your perspective? It seemed like you didn't really have much to contend with out there for most of the race.
No, Joe, I had a terrible qualifying, and I was in a race earlier today with Bruce and thought I might have something for him, but man, he got on fire in this particular session. I don't know if he was just holding back earlier or if he got a really good setup, but I wasn't expecting to be into the points today. I got a really good start and then just put down consistent laps and tried to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. This track, it's amazing how much the difference is between quick and slow, and it really comes down to just keeping the car under you and driving a steady line, keeping your speed up in the corners. So didn't have anything for Bruce for the top 5 today, but happy with the 6th place.
Yeah, talk to us about that start. We saw you having a little bit of a chat post-race with a few of the drivers. They seemed to be caught out, but it sounded like there was no hard feelings.
No, there's kind of a mentality of, be super careful at the start, and I won't say that I take advantage of that, but I make it clear that I'm going to be aggressive at the starts. And when I went back and looked at the replay, I just flew by all those guys that made comments about me coming in there. I was a car length or more ahead of both of those drivers as we went into turn one. So not real sure what that was about, but it really is in this group, because we're so conscious of not taking out faster drivers. It's a situation where I had a terrible qualifying. I knew if I could jump up ahead of Jack and Brett that I had pace to at least hang with those guys, and if I could get ahead of them, I was hoping that I could at least keep them behind me, and as it turned out, both of those situations turned out to my good.
It certainly did. You've notched up another point in the championship, and we look forward to seeing you at Watkins Glen.
Thanks, guys. Always appreciate the broadcast. Looking forward to seeing you at the Glen. Loving that place.
Me too. I'm looking forward to watching that race. Bill, sounds like we've got one of our podium finishers stopping by.
I do. He wasn't on the podium till the very end. Of course, we're talking about another USA driver here, Michael Morrison. Michael, sit back there, just wait for the opportunity, and when you have the opportunity, the vulture strikes, and you get yourself a podium.
Yeah, that was honestly the plan all along, although I hoped to be in contact with a lead battle for a little bit longer, but I just got unlucky with back markers. It's really hard to predict how long it's going to take to let 4 cars by, let alone, or even 3 cars by, so I couldn't stay too mad at that for very long.
Yeah. We actually had that on screen, and 1, 2, 3 cars got by, and you just happened to catch them there, and your corner exit you couldn't track out, and that was the end of you staying close. It was fun to watch those guys, though. You had a good view of a nice battle up front.
Yeah, only problem is they stopped battling when I lost contact with them, so I lost my one white line that I can have a hope at them catching up with. So that's how it goes sometimes, and I still got lucky like I was hoping at the end. So I can't complain at everything when everything is said and done.
So let's go into it here as you're running in fourth. And then how quickly did you know that Trent Grade was having trouble? Could you see it in your little F3 box, or were you surprised, or all of a sudden found yourself in third? How'd that feel?
I was only 5 seconds back, and as soon as I came around turn, I guess it's 4, I looked up and there was smoke and a car that was in the middle of a grass, and I had a pretty good. It wasn't long after that I realized it was Uva, and that was a free spot. So yeah, not much to say about that really.
Nope. Well, we have 3 U.S. drivers in the points-paying position. Of course, yours the top one, so yours will go to the Stars and Stripes, get them up in the Constructors' Cup Championship. Good job. How do you feel? Let's get you out on this one. How do you feel about Watkins Glen?
It's one of my better tracks. I haven't raced it for a while, so I don't know exactly how dominant the draft is there versus the past. But in the past, it's actually it's deceptively hard to keep in contact with people. So it will maybe start out as a bit of a draft fest for like maybe the first few laps, and then slowly people will start to peter off of a train. But it's really hard to predict how that will go.
That's why we're going to tune in next week. Michael, congratulations on the podium. Hey, with Dudignon and Claridge in the field, you get yourself a podium. It's almost like best in class.
Yeah, basically. That's the best I can hope for, really, unless they move to take each other out. Mercedes 2016 Catalonia.
There you go. Hey, congratulations. We'll see you at Watkins Glen.
Thank you.
Joe?
Real quick, we're going to talk to Benjamin Zocco, who today came home in the 8th position, so he is just outside the points. And we were watching you for quite a bit of the race. Christian had a bit of a headache trying to come back from his early mistake, but looked like you wanted to give him even more of a problem there.
Yeah, I was glad to have a bit of a fight, because otherwise it can be, this is a fun track to lap around by yourself, but I really, not being quick enough for points today, at least I was able to put on a show.
Yeah, there was a couple times where Christian had overtaken you, and then you took it right back. Do you tend to try and race that way, or is today a little bit different for some reason as far as how aggressively you tried to defend the spot?
I guess it depends on the situation. So maybe like if I was in points, up in the points, I would have just sort of once he got past, just let him go. But because there was unless something really bad happened up front, there wasn't really any chance of points. Or if there was, I wanted to be in his spot so that I could pick up on it. So, yeah, I was fighting as hard as I could with Christian. I know he was a bit quicker because he came came back and took Brett. So I knew that he was going to be a bit quicker than me, but I just wanted to just keep the fight going for as long as I could, just for fun.
Well, it was fun for us to watch, and unfortunately, commiserations on being outside the points, but looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, Watkins Glen is a good track for me. I think I'm a little bit better around there, and it always provides a good, exciting race. So I'm looking forward to that one. As long as I can keep it on the road through the S's, I'll be good.
Yeah, that is a wild ride through there. That was Benjamin Zoko, our 8th place finisher for today. Bill, I think it's time to close up.
Yep, and just to follow up on points, we talked about the Constructors' Championship with Michel Dugignon being from France, picking up 9 points for that country. We expect to see France on the overlay, probably move around Spain. We'll see that country represented next week. All right, let's go ahead and we'll wrap it up. We'd like to thank Jack Volstad and Benjamin Zoko for promoting and organizing the Lotus 49 World Cup Championship. Thanks to Tidal Influence, an ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California, that restores the wetlands, saves and studies endangered species, and educates children about our environment. For more information, go to TidalInfluence.com.
Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast. You can see those on your screen. Additional thanks to our musical contributors Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. You can find their music at the websites listed as well. Next race is going to be Watkins Glen, 45 laps because it's such a short lap around there. It'll be May 7th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel.
And finally, on behalf of the man whose voice you just heard, Joe Peak, our director Amjad Yaman, our camera artist Dougie Beard, I would like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.